Let's go, you are.
You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you, to you. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you, to you. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands. I lift my hands. I lift my voice. I lift my voice. I lift my voice. Get vulnerable. Say, I lift my life. I lift my life. Watch this. Say this. Sing love of my life. Sing love of my life.
What's up? What's up? What's up? You all? How you all doing this afternoon? How you all doing this afternoon? I'm sorry I got on late today. I should have been on by 12 o'clock, but I just had some unexpected phone calls that I had to attend to and stuff like that. But happy Sabbath day, happy Sabbath day. This is the day that the Most High have made. So let us be glad and rejoice in it. How you all doing today? How you all doing? I hope that the Most High have really truly blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and joy. I hope the Most High have really truly blessed your offsprings over and abundantly with peace, kindness, and protection and healing. I hope your week has been a great week. I hope the Most High have really truly blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and joy. My week was pretty interesting this week. My week was pretty interesting this week. Don't put it over here by this cord. I had a pretty good week until Thursday morning. I was driving to work Thursday morning, and when I was driving down the road, it was this car that came right in front of me and cut me off and stopped right in front of me and then turned and went into the gas station. But he cut me off in the middle of the road to try to go into the gas station. And yeah, it caught me off. It caught me by surprise, and I was like, "Man, how did that happen?" And I blew my horn at him. He stopped and he went on into the gas station. And then when I was coming home from work, the identical same thing happened to me again. I was coming home from work, coming down South Florida Parkway, going about 65 miles an hour, and I came up out of the entrance, the exit on South Florida Parkway. Another car, the same identical car, the same identical color, came across me and cut me off again. And then I started blowing my horn at him again, and I was like, "Man, what?" I was like, "What's going on?" And that threw me for a loop because I'm gonna tell you all about one of my experiences that made me really get prepared for what's going on in the world. Is that I was driving. We was having church, and I just dropped my mom off at home, and my wife and I, Sharon, we was driving, coming down 75, getting ready to go on 285 by the airport in Atlanta. And my back window got shot out. And when it got shot out, I pulled over to the side of the road to see what was going on, see was I okay, see was my wife okay. Everything was great. But it was a car that was parked on the back of me, and there was a car that was pulled up on the side of me, in the front of me. And one guy got out behind me for I don't know what apparent reason. He started to come to my car, and I told him to go ahead and leave me alone, go on. He got in his car and drove off. But the car that was in front of me, both the cars, neither one of the cars had a tag on them. And that was almost about 7 years ago. And at that point that's when I started getting protection for myself, because you never know what's going on these highways. You never know the intentions of people. And then what happened Thursday morning, the car cut me off that morning, then it turned around and cut me off that afternoon. And I was like, "Man, what's going on? What's going on?" So, but I was distracted. I was distracted both times. I was paying attention, but I wasn't really paying attention. And during this day and time, we really got to be mindful of our environments. We got to be mindful of everything that we got going on, because we never know what's going on. We don't know what the intentions are. We don't know these things. So, when I was driving to work Friday morning, the Most High, I was just thinking about what the Most High, and he said that some things are happening to grab your attention so that you can pay attention to what's going on in the world. And a lot of times, we can be so distracted from TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram that we can forget what's actually going on in the world. Because prior to, I said about 6 months ago, I used to be very attentive to my surroundings. When I'm driving, I used to be very attentive, but at some point in time, I laxed my attention to my environment. And when I did that, these things happened to me. And a lot of times you cannot lax your attention. You got to be very attentive to your environment. You can't always trust people, because you never know what's going on. You can't always let Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram take most of your time away. So that what really happened to me this week, and it just threw me for a loop. But it made me get back on making sure that I never go the same way home. I never go the same way going to work. I never leave at the same time. I never come back home at the same time. Because you never know what people are doing. Because people are watching your home. They're watching where you work. They're watching what you wear. They're watching what you drive. People are watching you. So you really got to be careful of those things, because just the climate that we're in, okay? So let us go ahead and read chapter. I just wanted to tell you about my week, because you never know. You got to be aware of everything that's taking place, okay? It says in Exodus chapter 20 verses 1 through 17, and it reads, Ananias spake out these words, saying, I am Yahuwah the Ananias, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and thou shalt have no other Ananias before me. And thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. And thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, that Ananias, am a jealous Ananias, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy Ananias in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy Ananias. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, thy manservants, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore, if Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy Ananias giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. Let us pray. O creators of the heavens and earth, of our radiance and vibrations, soften the grounds of our beings and carve out a space with us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear fruit of our mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desire within your purpose for our life. Bestow us with the wisdom of produce, and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled thread of destiny that binds us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which distracts us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of present moments. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the creator and power and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again. So let it be. Like I say, happy Sabbath day, happy Sabbath day. This is the day that the Most High have made. So let us be glad and rejoice in it. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Okay, if you could turn to Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15 verse 14. Genesis chapter 15 verse 14. Okay? And this is the only verse that I'm going to be talking about today. But this is like part 2. I got one more part after this one. This is part 2 from last week. So it's going to be a continuation from part 1. Part 1. Okay, let me go ahead and read this and then I'll go ahead and say it. It says in Genesis chapter 15 verse 14, it says, also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Let me read it over again. And it says, also that nation whom they shall serve will I come out with will judge. Afterwards shall they come out with great substance. If I may get a title of the text today, the title of the text today again is History Repeat Itself. The Final Act is Here, Part 2. The final act is here, Part 2. Okay, the words that I'm going to give you today is calamity. Calamities is a 15th century word. Calamity means any great misfortunes of cause of misery. Generally applied to events or disasters which produce extensive evil, loss of crops, earthquakes, conflagrations, defeats of armies, and the like. But it is applied also to the misfortunes which brings great distress upon the individual, a great misfortune or cause of misery. Let me read this over again. It says, calamities are any great misfortunes or cause of misery, generally applied to events or disasters which produce extensive evil, loss of crops, earthquakes, conflagrations, defeats of armies, and the like. But it applies also to the misfortune which brings great distress upon individuals, a great misfortune or cause of misery. Okay, conditions. Conditions is a mid-14th century word. It means a state, a particular lifestyle of living applied to external circumstance, to the body, how you live to the body, how you live to the mind, and to the physical things like the cars, clothes, and houses. We speak of good conditions or bad conditions in reference to wealth and poverty, a lifestyle of a person or thing. That's what condition means, a lifestyle of a person or things, okay? So, I don't forget which verse I want to give you to keep in the mind. Okay, let me just give you one. Let me just give you one. I don't have one right now. It'll come to mind in a few minutes. But let me just bring you up to standard. Let me bring you up to par right now to what current. Because last week we talked about history repeats itself, the final act is here, which should be noticed as part 1 because we talked about the leaders and we talked about the Balfour Declaration. Okay? We also understand that the Balfour Declaration was a declaration promise that the children of Israel, the Jewish people that was living in Germany would have a promised land. That's what the Balfour Declaration ensured, that the Jewish people that was living in Germany at the time would have a promised land. And when we're looking at the Balfour Declaration, that's coming from a man, or that is coming from man's point of view to give the people a homeland. That was coming from man's point of view. That was from man's doing and not from the Most High's doing. Because if we look at the history that is going on and that has been going on over there in that landmass, it has not been nothing but war and conflict in the Middle East or the Far East ever since 1948. That hasn't actually been any peace in that land for over 70 years. Okay, so the Balfour Declaration was written by man. But I want you to also understand this right here too. Let us go to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11 and 12. Isaiah 11, verse 11 and 12, and it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." So what we saw in the early 1900s was done by man. But what we're now seeing today is done by Yahuwah. Everything that we see what's going on in the earth and on the earth is being done by Yahuwah. And the reason why I say that, we got to go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. Because this is very important, and I guess the Most High really wanted me to pay attention to what's actually going on, and it's for you to pay attention to what's actually going on in the world and not be so occupied with TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, because the more we are distracted by those apps, it keeps us from not recognizing what's actually going on in the world today. Okay? It says in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, it says, "And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and shall afflict them 400 years." And see, 400 years was up in 2019, September of 2019. But if you go back to September of 1919, it was a century. And if you look at the leadership that was in ruling who started their rulership at that time in September 1919 in Germany, it was 100 years of rulership. And then when you look at the present day ruler of the world today, it was exactly 100 years from that person becoming leader to this person becoming a leader. If that make any sense. That make any sense? So the Most High is telling us right now, yes, I'm going to give you a compare and contrast today again, but he really wants us to pay attention to what's actually going on in the world and not just take everything lightly. Don't take everything lightly as if it is nothing going on and these events are just happening, just automatically happening, and it's not the case. Okay? So that's something we got to really think about more. We got to think more on, because when I was going to work Friday morning, the Most High said, some things happen to you to get you to be more aware of your environment and not just take everything lightly. Yes, because your life could be on the line. And if you're just looking at, Oh, la 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 la. No, some tragically can happen to you. So, if you're not truly paying attention to it, you can fall into a trap. So, that's what he was saying to me. So now we dealt with the leaders. If you want to know who the leaders are, go back and look at my teachings from last week. Because when the first leader came on, it was in September 1919. You got to remember, when did the first slave hit the United States? The first slave hit the United States in September or November of 1619. Now, and that was 300 years. It was 300 years for this other leader to hit the scene, which came hitting on the scene in September of 1919. Okay? So now, the leader that we have today, he came on the scene. He first announced he came on the scene in 2009. But he came to become president in 2016. Then, after that, he did those 4 years, and now he's here again. Okay, but now I want to talk about, we talked about the leaders and what they did. The Balfour Declaration was to make sure that the Jewish people had a homeland in Palestine. Now we're kind of confused about what this leader is going to do. But let's just talk about the events that happened in 1929 during that time period, okay? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the events. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. Because I'm gonna read verse 3 through 7. Okay, because this is the mindset of a lot of people, right? Because we don't actually know what's going on. Now we're gonna ask questions. Okay? It says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 3, it says, And he that sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the signs of thy coming? See, understand the question that they're asking. Because they want to be aware so that they can be paying attention to what's actually taking place in the world, so that they can be more attentive, so that they can be able to get their life right during this time period. Because I want us to understand it again. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the age? The word world means age. That doesn't mean world in itself. It means the age. Okay? And a lot of us are trying to figure out what in the world is going on right now at this point in time. Listen to it again. Then it says in verse 4, it says, And Yahshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. That was the first and most important thing that he wanted you to truly understand. He wanted you to understand that no man deceive you, because he wanted you to be paying very close attention to everything that is taking place in the world. Because he's going to give you the signs. It is up for you to be able to understand the signs. Okay, and then it says in verse 5, For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and he shall deceive many. These are leaders which are coming to the masses of people and saying to the people, I am the anointed one. That's what Christ means. Christ means anointed one. Let me do something real fast. I know I ain't got much time. My computer keep going. Okay, here it is. Man. Okay, what anointed means? It just means smear or rub with oil, typically part of a religious ceremony. It says a sacrament conferred divine or holy office, means a priest or a monarch. So when someone says that I am the Christ or the anointed one, meaning it's saying that they have the special abilities to be able to do something that ordinary people are not able to do. Okay, so if we look at people in high positions, they can really be called an anointed one because the power that they possess at the time, they have the abilities to do things that other people may not be able to do. You understand? So his first thing was saying was, don't let nobody tell you. He says, for many shall come in my name saying, I am Christ or the anointed one, and deceive many. And when you look at the first and second great leaders, they have said that they are the chosen people of that time. But look what was the outcome of those people saying that they was the chosen one at the time. Okay, then it says in verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. See, when we look at that, when we're doing a compare and contrast, the first major war, first and second world war was done. The second major war was done with the first great leader. Now the next war gonna be done up under this leader. But if you look at it, around the world during the time of the first great leader, it was world wars. It was major conflict going on. And now when you look at today's time, it's world war. It's wars going all around the world. Everything is happening when it comes down to war. And now the second great leader is saying that he's going to bring peace on the land. Then it says also in verse 7, for nations shall rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms, and there shall be famine, and pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. So when we look at compare and contrast, compared to what happened in 1929 and what's going on actually in today's time period when we deal with verse 7 in Matthew chapter 24. It says, for nations shall rise against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquake in divers places. Understand that it says there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. Okay. Let me read it in Luke in chapter 21, verse 25 and 26. It says, and there shall be a sign in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, and the sea and the wave roaring. Men harsh, failing them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the power of heaven shall be shaken. And see, that is what's actually taking place right now today. Men hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. What is coming on the earth? Famine and pestilence, earthquake in divers places. And it says, for the power of heaven shall be shaken. Okay? So now, when we're talking about, we talked about the declarations, and we talking about Isaiah 11. Then we talked about the great leader. We talked about his character, his motives, and all of those things. We did compare and contrast of that. Now we're getting ready to talk about the events. And there's a lot of events that's going on. And I understand now why people have Patreon accounts on YouTube. Because what they want to say on the regular channel, they can't say. What they want to say on Patreon, they can't say on the regular channels, because they can get more deeper into the realm on Patreon than they do on regular channels. So I'm going to learn to talk general, because I don't know who's listening, because I have had 12 o'clock midnight phone calls. We have phone calls this week, so I want to make sure that I talk in general, but you're just going to have to be able to read between the lines. Okay? It says, we're talking about the events of 1929. Okay? What kicked everything off? Financial stock market crash on October the 24th, 1929. That was the major thing that kicked everything off. It was a stock market crash. It was a stock market crash. Everyone lost money and caused bank runs to take place. Everybody lost money, and it caused people to go take money out of the banks. And when I was looking at that, and when you listen to people on TikTok or YouTube, most of the financial analysts and most people are now telling people to take money out of the bank and invest their money into silver and gold. Because the simple fact is, they saying that history repeats itself. Okay? So, what happened in 1929? October 24th, 1929. They called it Black Thursday. Market crash. Everyone lost their monies. They had their monies into the stock market. And people started to do a bank run. But understand that the banks do not have everybody money in the banks at the same time. So everybody wasn't able to take their money out of the banks, because the simple fact is they do not have that type of money in the bank. That was number one. Number two, unemployment rose to 25.6%. And I want you to hear the numbers, okay? It rose to 25.6%. 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed. 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed. It's not saying that everybody was unemployed. It was saying that 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed. Understand that. Okay. It says that 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed. Businesses closed and people lost their savings. Okay? It says, okay, understand that. Then it says, what about the homes? In 1932, 273,000 people, 1,000 Americans, lost their homes, even more losing their homes in the following year. So when the Great Depression happened, people lost everything they had in the stock market. It was a bank run. Unemployment hit 25.6%. 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed. Businesses closed and people lost their savings. Okay? Okay. So now, the housing market. In 1932, 273 Americans lost their homes, and even more in the following year, which created homelessness in a thing called shantytown. A thing called shantytown. Shantytown is typically a place made of a shantytown is typically made of materials such as mud and wood, or from cheap building materials such as corrugated tin sheets. So if I want to give a better description of that, a shantytown looks like decapitated cities that's in Africa. So America at some point in time was looking like the shanty towns that's in Africa. Understanding the concept, understanding what was going on 300 years after the first slave got here in America. Okay? 300 years after the first slave got here in America, it was this thing called the Great Depression. And it made things happen. It created so many things around the world. Okay? And it had a great impact on the United States. Okay. Famine. Famine doesn't necessarily mean people starving to death. Famine means that there could become a shortage of food. Okay? There could come a shortage of food. Okay. Soup kitchens and lines were a lifeline for millions of Americans who couldn't afford to feed themselves. And people lost their lives. And they're saying that in New York City alone, there was 110 people who lost their lives through starvation. But it's not saying that a lot of people lost their lives through starvation, but it is saying that there was 1 in 4 Americans that was going through a soup kitchen, or they was going through catastrophes when it comes down to food disparities in the United States during that time period. Okay? And that's what was going on in 1929. Also, they had this thing called the parrot flu. The parrot flu. The parrot flu. The parrot flu is also known as the bird flu. All these things was going on at one time. The parrot flu or the bird flu. The parrot pandemic is caused by numerous species of birds, can occasionally be transmitted to humans. It is typically the typical results is pneumonia-like symptoms. Listen to that. Listen to that. Let me read it over. It typically results in pneumonia-like symptoms, and untreated can cause serious illness, resulting in a mortality rate of 15 to 30% or more. In the 1929, the disease was little understood. Listen to this very carefully. A Christmas time outbreak caused panic throughout the United States. And see, I was asking friends this week, right? I call them I call them friends. I was asking my friends this week. I asked 3 of them, what do you think that we should be doing at this time right now? And um um and 2 of them, I think one told me, he gave me 2. He said he really did not. He really couldn't give me. He hadn't come up with other 3. One he really didn't know, and I think the other one gave me 5 of them. I'm not for sure. So I think that's why the Most High had me to go through my experiences this week, because the more you're preparing yourself for the events to come, the better you can be prepared for the events to come. And see, In Luke chapter 21, verses 26. I'm going to read verse 25 and 26 again, because we have to understand that also this time in season, it makes you feel a certain way. Because no, we may not be able to understand what the people in 1929 was going through, but we understand that we have some type of feeling on how we're going through things, how we feel about things, and how the second leader has sent great mental shock waves through the whole world. Because yes, with all the things that has been done in the last 2 weeks, it has been a shock wave that went throughout the whole world that caused certain emotions to take place. And it says in Luke again, I want you to hear this. In Luke chapter 21, verse 25 and 26 again, it says, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and waves roaring. Listen to this part. Men minds failing them for fear. Men's hearts or men's minds failing them for fear, and looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the power of heaven shall be shaken. So now what it's saying is, listen to this part, the second part of the verse in 26. And for looking after those things are coming on the earth. Your mind, what you're seeing is making you afraid. And see, I just got out the phone with my brother, and yes, anxiety have hit the land, because this man has sent such of a shock wave through the whole world. It is causing everybody to have fear. But because we haven't really been paying attention to the signs and wonders in the sky, and we really haven't been reading the word the way we should, that's why we have such a great fear. That's why we have such a great fear. Not because we don't have the abilities or the skills to get ourselves together. It's just the simple fact is because we haven't related the Bible to the events in the world. It causes us to have an emotion that makes us afraid. But like I was talking to my brother this morning, right? My brother was telling me, he said, man, I'm going to start hanging out with certain people. He said, I'm going to start exercising, get myself together. He said that I'm going to make sure that I be ready for what's going on in the world. He don't read the Bible. He believes in the Most High though, but he don't read the Bible. But in actuality, he's doing things that could be able to help him cope with what's going on in society. Okay? So now, let us go down. Understand now that parrot flu, fever, or bird flu, it was like a pneumonia-like symptoms. and untreated can cause serious illness, resulting in a mortality rate of 15 to 30% or more in death. In 1929, the disease was little understood, and a Christmas, listen please, listen, a Christmas time outbreak caused panic. Listen to the time period. A Christmas time outbreak caused panic throughout the United States. Okay? That came from Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. Okay? So now let us go to Revelation. Revelation chapter 6, verse 8. Whew.
Revelation what?
Revelation chapter 6, 7, and 8. Then it reads in Revelation chapter 6 and 7 and 8, it says, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast saying, come and see. Verse 8, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on it was Death, and hell followed him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with swords. See, what does that verse mean? The fourth part of the earth. I have a book, and I showed you all the book, where the United States, I think it's this book right here. I think it's this book right here. I think it's this book right here where it's talking about the United States is the fourth part. The United States is the fourth part of the earth. So, no, that ain't it. The fourth part of the earth. So, when we're looking at it, hear it again. The United States is, from the Bible viewpoint, is considered to be the fourth part of the earth, okay? Then in Revelation 6 and 8, it says, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat. Also, this book here. This information pertains to the United States, okay? So now, when I look, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which is the United States, to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and with the beast of the earth. Okay. So now, we looked at that. It was given power to kill with the sword, with hunger, with death, and with the beast of the earth. Okay? Since 2019, the United States economy haven't been restored. I'm going to give you 5 areas how we're impacted, how things are going on in the world. We're talking about the U.S. finances right now, 100 years after 1929. Present time, the U.S. is in $36 trillion in debt. The United States has inflation, and the stock market is expected to have some downsides to it because the tariff the leader is putting on countries around the world, which will have a great impact on the U.S. stock market and its economy. Okay, talking about the economy. Because understand that everything starts from the economy. Everything starts from the economy. Okay? ABC News. This happened on November the 1st. Listen to this. This happened on November 1st, 2024. November 2024. No, November 1st, 2024 at 10:07 a.m. Elon Musk asked voters to brace for economic hardship, deep spending cuts, and potential Trump cabinet role. Understand what Elon Musk said. Ask voters to brace for economic hardships, deep spending cuts, and potential cabinet picks. So he's actually telling us that we got to embrace for economic hardships during the next 4 years. That came out of ABC News. Okay? So now we understand that if economic hardships came during the time, it was the trigger that came in 1929, what do we expect during this season that we're in? Because he just told you what areas will be impacted by this great hardship, deep spending cuts. Deep spending cuts. What areas will be impacted? Let's go to number 1. Employment. Listen to this one. Employment. Due to the executive orders from the leader of the United States, the job market may go through a decline for a period of time. Programs such as the DEI will cause job loss. Immigration deportation will hurt the construction industry and many other areas around the United States. Understanding that this DEI program is going to cause unemployment because the simple fact of reconstruction, they're reorganizing things. Even when you look at all the programs and the areas that it's going to impact, it's having a huge issue around the United States. Even though 1 out of 4 Americans was affected in 1929, it will be the same thing during this period that we're in today. Everybody was not impacted during the Great Depression, but it was, I'm going to read you a little bit about that later. So we understand that. Understanding that immigration would help with the chicken plants, immigration help with farmland, immigration help with constructions of buildings. Understand that. Housings. So if you have an immigration issues and the people that you may be trying to deport, those people are the main people that's doing construction. Okay. Housing in 2024. In 2024, the U.S. housing market was the slowest in decades. Also, homelessness increased over the years because of rent hikes. Rent growth slowed down in some areas while accelerating in other areas. The federal government's sharp interest rate hikes for the past years continue to have unintended consequences. Understanding that when people lost their jobs in 1929, the first thing that was affected was the housing market. Understand it, in 1929, they had an Immigration Deportation Act. Understand that. Famine. So when you have Revelation 6 and 8, you're gonna have a U.S. financial crisis, employment issues, housing market. Now famine. Famine doesn't mean that people are starving to death. It just means that people do not have the nutritional food that they need to have. Okay? In 2023, 15.5% of U.S. households were food insecure. 1 in 4, 13.5. Look at how the DEI program would impact. Look at all the executive orders and how it would impact employment. And when you have these people that are losing their jobs, when you don't have any income coming in, how would it impact food securities? In 2023, 13.5 of the U.S. household were food insecurities, which is more than in 2020. Millions of people in the U.S. don't have enough food to eat or access to healthy foods, but it is facing a hunger crisis. However, the world is experiencing a global food crisis with millions of people acute hunger. And see, a lot of the times we don't associate, because if it don't affect us, it doesn't concern us. Only thing that we say is, I'm doing good. It don't matter about what you're doing. I'm doing good. When in actuality, I'm going to pull something up for you. When in actuality, crime rate goes up when there is not enough employment, enough housing, and enough opportunities in the land. See, a lot of the times we don't look at as one affecting the other. But in actuality, one does affect the other. Okay? Also, another thing, bird flu. Hold on. Okay. Bird flu hit the United States in 2024. The H5N1 strain of bird flu caused 66 confirmed human cases in the U.S. in 2024 and 1 death. The virus also affected commercial poultry flocks and dairy herds. That was in 2024. See, I just Googled something, right? Let me see something. I just Googled something. And I don't, this is not going to be a long teach. I'm about done, but I'm going to say some other stuff too. It says, I said, why is eggs so expensive right now? The bird flu outbreak that started in 2022 is the main reason egg prices are so much. Anytime the virus is found on poultry farms, the entire flock is slaughtered to help limit the virus spread. So now we look at the first leader came into existence in September 1919. The second leader came into existence in September 09. He came to be who he was in 2016. First leader 300 years before. The 300 years before. Okay? The 300 years before the 400-year mark was up. The second great leader took to him during and after the 400-year mark. So now what we see, both are dealing with the same situation, the same circumstances. Huh?
Said nothing to do.
Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. Then we go to verse 8 first. It says, all things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the eyes filled with hearing. The things has been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. So this is something that we got to deal with. Okay? And I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to start doing right now. I said this. It says the Great Depression had a devastating impact on poor people. Listen to that. because the SNAP program, child care program, Social Security program, housing programs, all these things are affecting poor people. It says the Great Depression had a devastating impact on poor people, leading to widespread unemployment, hunger, homelessness, and extreme poverty. As they were disproportionately affected by job loss, limited access to food and shelter, and a lack of social safety nets. Listen to that. Understand that everything that was done then, they didn't have. What the people didn't have then are the things that are being taken away now. Hear that. The things that people did not have then to protect them during the Great Depression are the things that are being taken away now with executive orders. Okay, it says often forcing them to live in makeshift shanty towns called Hooverville while searching for work across the country. I had something that I really wanted to. I was looking for something. I'm gonna give you 5 things, and I'm gonna read one more thing, and then I'm gonna give you 5. Go ahead and give you 5 things now that you need to start doing to help yourself in this process that we see. 5 things that we need to start doing, because this is what the Most High told me this morning, or showed me this morning. First, you need to start having family meetings about what's going on in the world. You need to start getting ideas. You need to start having family meetings. You need to start coming together with a plan. First thing you need to start doing is making a plan. Okay? Second thing you need to start doing is getting the things that you may need. Things that are affecting you here, things that affected them then, is affecting the people today. So you need to start getting the supplies that you need. Where it comes down to, food, water, shelter, medical, and protection. You need to start getting those things. It's 5 areas. Food, water, shelter, first aid, and protection. Because, understand this, they may not talk about how, if it was violent or not during that time period. But believe me and you, there was some skirmishes along the way. Because that's when, during that time period, the KKK came into existence. During that time period, the KKK came into existence. Okay? So now, you having a family meeting. Okay, you got a meeting with your family. You're making a plan. Third, you're getting the supplies that you need. The fourth is you got to start training with everything that you have. First aid, knowing how to treat people when they're sick. Food, making sure you know how to grow food when there's no food. Making sure you know how to protect your family members when it comes down to somebody invading you. Okay? Shelter, making sure that there's a secure location for everybody. Huh? Huh? Okay. Making sure that there's a secure location for everybody. And four, making sure that last one, making sure you have access to water. So now, you got your meeting, you got your plans, you got your supplies, you got the training with those things. And the first and foremost is making sure that you're studying and having a relationship with Christ. The first four I gave was all physical. But the first and foremost is praying and studying the Word. Because when you start praying and studying the Word, He could be able to help you with all the other four things that you got going on. But as long as you're not praying and studying, you won't be able to bring your family together. Y'all won't be able to have no plan. Y'all won't be able to get no supplies. And y'all won't be able to train on nothing you have. See, Jeremiah chapter 50, right? 51. I'm going to read you a little bit of Jeremiah chapter 51 because I want you to understand the significance of everything that's going on because it's been prophesied. It says, Thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwells in the midst of them that rose up against me. That's what he's going to do. A destroying wind. Listen to it again. Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 1. It says, Thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwells in the midst of them that rise up against me. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall make her land empty. For in the days of trouble they shall be against her round about. Listen to this part again in verse 2. It says, And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall make her land empty, hungry, desolate, bird flu, sick, no houses. Our land will be like Gaza, Syria. Verse 3. Against him that bendeth let the archers bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigaden, and spare ye not her young men. Destroy ye utterly all her armies. See, this is what we're getting ready to see. And see, a lot of people, I was looking at the news this morning. What happened in Philadelphia was very important. And a lot of us take it lightly. A lot of us are like, oh, that was nothing. That was a plane. I just really want you to be able to go back to Matthew chapter 24 first. Go to verse 3. Because I had a dream. Was it this week, Sharon? About the bomb, nuclear bomb?
Oh, last week.
It was last week? See, I had a dream.
Last week.
I had a dream last week that the United States is going to get hit by a nuclear bomb. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall the signs of thy coming and the end of the age? See, what happened in Pennsylvania was a sign. Everything is symbolisms. We got to understand what the sign of Philadelphia Eagles represents and what happened in the middle of Philadelphia. All of those things there. And pay attention and put everything together and not think everything is hunky-dory. Because there is judgment on the land. Father, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Father, we thank you for everything you have done and what you continue to do. Father, we ask that you continue to let us understand the way you want us to understand. Let us see the way you want us to see, hear the way you want us to speak, hear, and speak the way you want us to speak. As we come to you today, we just ask that you continue to protect us, put a hedge of protection around us for those who are trying to set a trap for us. But also, Father, for those who are trying to set a trap for us, we ask that you let them fall into their own traps. Those who are trying to bring evil and diabolical plans against us and trying to do hurt, harm, and injury to us, Father, we ask you to let it come upon their own heads. We ask that whatever they're trying to do to us, Father, it falls on them. Father, we also ask that your word be done in the earth and let it not go out and come back void. Father, we ask that you continue to give us the wisdom and knowledge and understanding and the abilities and skills and finances to be able to help us in this day and time. So, Father, we ask that you continue to be with us and lead us and guide us and protect us as we travel the highways and byways next week, but also let us be aware of what's going around in our environment so that we can be able to protect ourselves in all shape, fashion, and form. And in all these things we pray in your higher name we be. So let it be. Hey, y'all have a good one.
How did we get here? How did we get here? I'm just a Jew in Babylon. How did we get here? Slave ship, the father ain't nobody to be played with. My people broke the laws. Look at what it costs. Jerusalem, we lost. We at the bottom, y'all. We done lost it all. Black man selling drugs, gang banging, ain't your culture. The more you sin, you walking dead, they eat you like some balls. You ain't even black, that's a known fact. That's a color, you a Hebrew, you my brother. They want us to kill each other, we should really heal each other. Hey, Aki been through what you been through, y'all should feel each other. These scriptures could change any brother. I just see what dang you seen, chapter 9-11. Oh, we ain't hear this from the reverend, we needed this message. We needed somebody to tell us that we really special. We made a covenant and one day he gon' use these vessels. It's all written, these bones living, we gon' fishing. We all in it, no wrong living, we all mission. This is not my homeland, this is not my way of life. Send us to our homeland, but we gon' get it right. Get this beam up on my eye, so that I can see the light. We found out that it was Christ, hung out Savior on the tree just like a Hebrew.